We have a pair of couples that are going to share their stories and how they're managing to live life to the fullest despite the diagnosis of MSA. And I can tell you, and I think you've kind of gotten the theme today of how important it is to live in the moment, be present, to keep a positive attitude. And the couples we're going to hear from embody this. They have fun and they do as much as they can, and they're not losing any time or opportunities. So we're going to start with Frank and Barbara Teneri. What are you saying about me over there? Yeah, we got to watch it for that one. That Jerry Doyle, you got to watch it for him. So I'm gonna forego the introductions. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. But this is Frank and Barbara Teneri, and they are going to kick things off. And you can tell all about yourselves and your exciting adventures. Would you like the podium or the models? There you go. Good choice.
Well, Barbara came down with ataxia, which later was diagnosed as MSA, about 5 years ago. But up until that point, we had traveled widely. We took the kids on vacations, went to the movies, went out for dinner. We had a full life. And at age 67, she came down with this condition. And after grappling with it and so forth, we tried to figure out how can we do most or many of the things we had been doing before, which we enjoyed so much. We're both retired from our professions. Barbara had been a kindergarten teacher. I was a professor of economics at Seton Hall University, and now retired, and trying to figure out how can we deal with the conditions that we have. What I did in the slides was just make a list of different activities. The first one is going to the beach, which we enjoyed. And so we still go to the beach, as the slide says, but I like to get swimming and get on the sand with some of the kids and grandkids. But Barbara chooses to be on the boardwalk. We've tried to get on the sand a little bit, but it is a struggle getting down the ramps, and then walking on sand is so shaky, there's no stability there, and even trying to get into the water is very difficult. So she enjoys getting onto the boardwalk and reading a book, watching the sights, talking with folks. And she does that by using her walker, which she's been using today. But I also wanted to show you today a portable scooter that we use on all of our travels. And this scooter is like a rollerboard getting on and off the plane. And what it does is it comes apart in two pieces, because it's fairly heavy. But the two pieces are only maybe 35 pounds, 30 pounds, and I can put them in the back of the car or bring them and put them on the plane, and they check it through. So I'll just show you very quickly, without the microphone, how it opens up. Okay, so first thing we do is we want to separate the two parts that open up. So I'll show you how that's done. I'll turn it around this way. First part, we lock it. Then we raise the front pull for Barbara's height and lift the handles, and we can angle it for Barbara to reach. And then we're going to lift this and bring it up to her height. And we have, the batteries are built in, and the wheels open up to a nice wide stance. And this is very turnable, very nice turnable. Push this and the battery is on, and Barbara just gets on it and can go either backwards or forwards with it, like most. And we have a horn as well, as you can see. And she can really get around, it really turns very nicely. Oops, you don't want to do that. Oh! And now I just want to tell you that we found this last year at the Abilities Expo, which is coming up in May. There's a flyer on the table. The Abilities Expo has things for automobiles, it's got the things for your kitchen utensils, all kinds of advice, different organizations go there, and a company selling this scooter was designed by a fellow in Israel who was a paraplegic, but he still wanted to get around and helped design this so that it could be compact and just rolled away. And so it turned out to be very nice. And what I'll do is I'll fold this up for you.
How about a round of applause for Frank?
I like when people bring props. That was
Yeah.
Anyone will need to change the slide.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've changed the slide.
Okay.
We're gonna go home.
Somehow, Jerry, I don't think that you are going to have a problem competing.
The next slide has us going out for dinner. Of course, we still go out for dinner, and Barbara uses a walker, but a couple of adjustments are made. One is we try to find out if everything is accessible. You know, lots of restaurants have it, but not every restaurant does. The second thing we want to know is how noisy is the place? Because with Barbara's speech impediment, too noisy, forget about it. You know, nobody can hear one another, and it's hard for her to be heard and understood even in regular situations. So those are the things we've modified for going out. Noise factor and the accessibility. And sometimes people say, well, they take the chair away as if she's going to sit in the walker. We say, no, she's going to sit in the chair. We'll just need to get her up to that chair, you know. And so that's something, just a little tidbit that we have found in trying to keep up our lifestyle, you know. Next slide, going to the movies. And again, we still go to the movies, but again, we need accessible seating. So we need to check what the situation is in that particular movie theater. Although admittedly, we watch most movies at home, but now and then we do get out, especially when we're on vacation, we like to go out to the movies. And we need to find the proper seats. By the way, you need to check the theaters because sometimes they have those accessible seats where you can just put your walker right next to it or a wheelchair. But be careful, sometimes it's 5 rows from the screen. Whoa, you know, so it might not be appropriate. So even though they say they're accessible, find out where that row is. If you don't mind, fine, but sometimes we have to actually move away from that spot to see the movie properly, okay? Next, taking long walks. We used to like to take walks, so now I still like to take my walk, but Barbara gets in her scooter, she puts it on high speed, and then, you know, we have to, whoa, hey!
Good for you.
And so...
Keep him on his toes.
Yeah, but she enjoys the scooter, even though she's not walking, she enjoys the scooter because she can get to see stuff. With the walker, you're always looking down at the sidewalk, you know?
Sure she's not trying to lose you?
So she uses the scooter, and I walk along with her. We try to use the sidewalks in our town, and some issues about crossing the street. You got to be careful about that, and also, not all the sidewalks are nice and flat and even, and she's bouncing sometimes. We were thinking about, we just got back from a vacation down in Puerto Rico and in Florida, but we used to go to Europe a lot. But most of the traditional towns have a lot of cobblestones and bumpy streets. So if you're ever thinking of going on a vacation, you should check out the environment where you're going, because it could be very uncomfortable just bouncing along, even in a good wheelchair or a scooter. But when we were down in Puerto Rico, lots of good sidewalks, and we stayed at a couple of hotels, and they're all accessible. And so that worked out pretty well. And if there are bumpy sidewalks, we try to get around them, maybe look for a safer spot or go around. But that is a challenge for vacationing and so forth. And the next slide is ballroom dancing. We used to do ballroom dancing together for many years.
Feeling the pressure?
I still go for ballroom dance lessons, but every morning I take Barbara over to our club, and she can walk in the water. We walk back and forth, which is good lower body exercise and keeps the circulation going. So instead of the dancing, in the mornings, we go over to the pool and we walk, and I give Barbara some exercises in the water. But we complete the exercises by doing a little bit of a Roomba in the water. She can't do it, right? Can't do it on land, but we do a little bit in the water. And she said, now I want to try waltz. I said, no, there's too many turns. you can't do it turning like that. And so we recommend water exercises if anybody can get up and move around a little bit. Some people can't, but if you can, try to get somehow the YMCA or something to get water exercises. Yeah, Barbara's mentioning that getting into a swimming pool can also be a challenge. Many of them don't have any easy way of doing it. Some do have like three or four steps with a railing, and you can do it one step at a time to get in. But if they don't have that, it's hard. Some places do have a chair where they would lift you and bring you down into the water. But you'd have to check that out if you're going to look into swimming exercises. The club that we belong to has 0 beginning, and then you walk gradually and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, which is very nice. The Berkeley Heights, Florham Park, and one other place, they have Lifetime Fitness, which has these infinite walk-in pools, but they're a little on the pricey side. And for world travel, we don't travel as much, but we still do traveling. Once Barbara uses the scooter to go right up to the door of the plane. They get out, and then, as you may know if you've traveled, they have those narrow chairs that can take you right to your seat, right? And then I can put the scooter together, and they can tag it, and then when we get out, they bring it right up to the door of the plane. So that's been very helpful in traveling. Once Barbara is in her seat, she's fine. Sitting is fine. We have our meal, watch a movie, whatever. There is a challenge of going to the restroom on the plane because it only fits one person. Usually when we go, it's together. I'm helping her and so forth. So, but she can't fall in an airplane restroom. That's the one benefit. You get in there, and that's it. You can't go anywhere. So that's the benefit of it,
That's so fast, I think he knows.
And our last trip that we arranged, we had an African safari. We took the whole family down there. I told the kids, I'm spending their money now. You better enjoy it, So we bought the tickets. We went down there, but it was organized by a handicap accessible tour organizer. The owner is in a wheelchair, is a paraplegic, and the wife helps run the details. But we had cabins where they had a ramp right up to the door. Even the place where we had meals, they had ramps going right up. The van that they took us around to see the animals locked Barbara in a wheelchair. So there are some organizations that do that. You should look, if you're interested in traveling, look into handicap accessible tours. I believe there will be 2, maybe 3 different groups at the Abilities Expo. They have a display, and they can tell you all about their travels. So that, I think, would be very helpful if you're interested in traveling. And, of course, in the hotels we try to find should have all handicap accessible. We always ask for a roll-in shower, because they tell you to have a handicap room, but it might not have a roll-in shower where you can go right in. So we make sure you ask for that. And have I run out of slides? Yes. Oh. Got some pictures of Barbara. Yeah. We got Barbara in her scooter traveling around. What's that? That was in Florida, yes. That's right.
Very tropical and right now.
And one more slide.
Oh, you look very relaxed there.
Yeah, Barbara sitting in a chair, and a lot of those chairs at the beach of the pool are low, so you need a little help to kind of get down low to sit in those beach type chairs, and having a nice meal. I hope you weren't drinking alcohol, Barbara. Let's see. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
When we talk about inspirational patient and caregiver stories, we have to remember Jack and Carol Hannigan. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here in person today to give their presentation that knocked the socks off the San Francisco group. Unfortunately, Jack was admitted to the hospital last night, and they couldn't be here. But Jack, we're pulling for you. Carol, Jack, we missed you today. We're pulling for you, sending you positive thoughts and lots of love from the MSA&J community. Get well soon, Jack.
With respect to ballroom dancing, we've been married 45 years. I couldn't dance then, I can't dance now. That's out. The sitting comment was very good about where you're going to sit in the handicapped accessible places. We go to jazz at Lincoln Center, and you get to sit right in the front, which at a jazz concert is probably a pretty good place to sit. The Abilities Expo is great. I recommend you go there just for the cool toys. And sometimes there's even stuff you want to buy. What else? So that was my comment on your stuff. All right, we weren't told to do this kind of a thing, so we're just, this is really boring. Okay, so this is all about Eleanor and I. Again, we've been married 45 years, have 2 adult children. We have a law firm together.
Can I interject that they are high school sweethearts? Is that
Yes,
my
so we started
understanding?
dating in high school.
Isn't that
Is
terrific?
that boring? Yes, it's
No,
very-
that's amazing and terrific.
It cuts down on the STDs. We had the same diagnosis issue everybody else has. Nobody knows what we had till we had it. Overlook, I think it was Overlook first said, you got MSA, goodbye, we have nothing for you. All our friends said, oh, you got to go to all the best doctors in the world, you got to see what's going on. So to stop the nagging, we went to the Mayo Clinic out in Rochester in the middle of winter, which sucks, and they confirmed to MSA there's nothing we can do, so it's quality of life issue is the most important thing you've got to deal with now. And as Frank aptly showed, you got to keep on keeping on. And there's lots of ways to do it, and there's lots of help to get it done. Okay, so anyhow, so we're diagnosed, and next slide, but we had been noticing the symptoms, the usual symptoms. Way back in 2011. In retrospect, you notice this stuff. Double vision for Eleanor was one of the first things that she had trouble with, and it's a continuing problem. And we've been going to neuro everything, but neuro-ophthalmologists, and then we're still working on that issue because we're not doing so good on that. Okay, other things that Eleanor has is a lack of balance, trouble talking, but not back talking. So it's forward talking is the issue. We're having a little problem with nouns and verbs, but we're going to work on that. Writing is gone, constipation, trouble with urination, swallowing. We have stridor issues. You can hear her once in a while taking a deep breath. That's a stridor thing, and it's better than not taking a breath. So you take it. But, last on the list, this is an issue we disagree on. You may have seen ads on TV for the medication for pseudobulbar syndrome, I guess it is. It's laughing or crying inappropriately. She laughs appropriately. I'm a funny guy. So I don't think she's got the problem, but she thinks she does. All right. So rather than pseudobulbar, I've diagnosed her as having actual bulbar, which is, I don't know, I'm a pretty funny guy. Okay, next slide. Also, we have tremendous lack of symptoms in our case. We don't have any of the tremor, which is, of course, typical with MSA because we don't have Parkinson's, and no real serious autonomic issues. We don't have the blood pressure issue. We're that one guy on the end of the chart. That has never been an issue for us. At the Mayo Clinic, though, they ran her through the battery of tests. They put her on the tilt table. They gave her the spinal tap. They gave her all that kind of stuff, and simply confirmed that she's got MSA, but also she does not have the blood pressure issue. All right, we're almost done with our story here, I think. All right, next slide. Medications, as you all know, not really much of anything. Again, for us, one of the keys of finding out Eleanor had MSA was they gave her the carbidopa and the levodopa, and it just made her sick. It just knocked her out, put her on the couch for a whole week, and that was just the beginning, the titration process. So we established that was no good. It wasn't doing us any good. We tried it a second time, didn't we? And it was no good a second time. So sometimes you're right. And we took all the rest of that junk, too. The impact, again, this is following an outline that was given to us by the moderator, so it's not as funny as Frank's. Okay,
He tipped me.
I guess. I've learned now.
Now you know.
All right. So Eleanor has retired from the practice of law, but as I was saying, we're still making money off the clients she brought in, so I'm very happy about that. She doesn't write very well. After several incidents, we figured her driving days were over. Unfortunately, our daughter, who lives in Astoria, comes out to help sometimes, and she's done more damage to the vehicles, so we're just not fixing anything. We're just going to let them all fall apart. All right. We have moved. We're getting older, you may have noticed, but we have downsized to a smaller home. We must have looked for almost 2 years trying to find the next place to live, looking for master bedroom downstairs and ranches and knockdown opportunities. We have finally ended up in a new development, a Hovnanian development in Morristown, where we were lucky enough to get in at the beginning, where you get to choose what you want. One of the options was an elevator. So we have an elevator now in the house, which has made all the difference in the world. We also have, but to get from where your car level is, the first living level, we also have a lift of some sort, where you go in, you hit a button, you go up 4 feet. Interesting story, I had the guy come out and I said, I think I want a ramp. This was when she was more mobile than she is now, and the ramp would have had to been 20 feet long to get to the right height. And the guy said to me, you don't need a ramp, you really need a lift. It's more expensive, but it's what you need. He was absolutely right. And then he said the magic words, and I happen to have a used one. So we got the used one, saved us a lot of money, and it really, there's machinery out there that helps your quality of life, and I really, really encourage everybody to get the best quality of life possible. It's been a godsend for us. That's what the money's for. Use it. That's my little sermon. Smaller home. Significant increase in responsibilities. I'm getting to learn how to cook. We had, from a very early time in our marriage, said, one cooks, one cleans. I'm a great cleaner. And I'm now getting to be a fairly mediocre cook, but it's a good thing. And I've already discussed our daughter's help around the house. Mindset at diagnosis, we expected a lot more out of the medical community and the miracles of drugs. Mindset change, Mayo confirmed it. We're getting to the point where we think we've got MSA here in the family, and we're going to have to just deal with it. I guess the next one. Okay, special things. Again, this is fairly repetitious, but nowhere near as exciting. Yes. Right. Yeah, well, we'll do that. Move, keep moving, because if you stop moving, Satchel Paige says, someone's going to catch up with you. Eleanor goes to rehabilitation. It's called rehabilitation. It's really a gym, Atlantic Health Center in New Providence. They have great people there. They really know how to deal with you as you are, and they don't push you any further than you can be pushed, but they keep you moving, which is great. We started with the Rocksteady Boxing about 2 years ago. If those of you who are still moving around pretty well, Rocksteady Boxing is a great program, keeps you moving, great people, wonderful people, and really cool T-shirts. So, but they really, the trainers are excellent. They know how to, and it's for, Rocksteady Boxing is for Parkinson's and MSA people, right? It's dedicated to them. And she can now not only take a punch, but give a punch too, so when she has to. But,
I'm sure it must come in handy.
but it's frankly, martial arts, anybody who's been in martial arts knows it's a full body and mind kind of activity.
Yeah.
And the boxing is just very good. It was wonderful. We also go to the MSA Coalition conferences. We have a great support group, other than Frank here, in Summit that we meet about once a month and we get together. And it's really good because we have wonderful guest speakers come in. Thank you, Cindy and everybody else. But also just talking to other people and getting tips about how to do things. You pick up daily experiences, and as Frank has shown, you learn these little things that make your life better. Calling ahead, looking ahead, finding out where the handicap parking is. Sometimes the handicap parking is in the wrong place, and sometimes, so you got to check that out. We've been following all the research studies. The website that was discussed this morning, clinicaltrials.gov, It's a good place to keep up on what's happening and to confirm you're not missing anything, that's any breakthroughs. What was also good this morning was starting to get the emails about breakthroughs in medicine, and this is for you. And the one that was mentioned, the second one that was mentioned, the Prana Pharmaceuticals with their BPP 454, something else. Eleanor says to me, you got to look into it. I went, okay. So I did, because I'm a good guy. And after an afternoon of research on the Google machine, found out basically they're looking for money to keep the doctors living in a lifestyle to which they've become accustomed. And by the way, they got this orphan drug and they think they can make some money off of it. You know, maybe it'll be wonderful at some point, but right now it's really just an investment opportunity, and mostly it's an opportunity to lose money. So that was my analysis. I am not a professional at investigating these matters, but that was a layperson's opinion. Okay, voice therapy is also something we find important for her specific condition. I find that it really helps during the day when I'm around to get her mad, because then she uses she vocalizes, gets that deep lung stuff going, right? You
You are a helper.
Well, you try to be an asshole when you can. Okay, next slide.
The opinions represented here are not necessarily those endorsed by MSANJ.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
Okay. And basically, you know, it's one day at a time. Keep on keeping on, and we're doing the best we can. And we really wish everybody else here does the best they can. And I got to tell you, the community, MSA community is small, but we're all champions in what we're doing here. And it's so good to see people coming out, because it helps me to see an audience full of people. And I'm glad everybody's here. And let's all clap for ourselves.
Let's. We deserve it. You all deserve it.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any
I wanted to add two things. One is Barbara has a videotape at home, a DVD, that is for seated yoga. And she can sit in the chair, and the instructor shows the different moves. And that really, if you're homebound, this is a good thing to get it on Amazon. And it keeps you moving, it keeps your blood circulating. So seated yoga is a good thing. Look into it if you don't have that. And the other is, like Jerry, I also specialized all during our working years. I earned the money and she spent the money. So we broke it down that way, see? But now I've got to cook, what's that? I got to clean, what's that? So I'm learning a lot, and it's a good life experience. Also, Barbara sings with me in the pews at church on Sunday. It's a good opportunity to vocalize and sing. So singing is a good activity, gets the lungs going and so forth.
Excellent. Do you guys have any questions for our panel? I think that their stories and their dynamics are just terrific. Looking at these two couples, it makes me think of my parents, first of all, that dedication, the love. Unfortunately, my dad had passed away long before Mom's diagnosis, but I know he would have been right there beside her. And seeing it and hearing your stories, it's just beautiful.